Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hi, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
We're here to ask, is the weather keeping you in? Or it could be, this year, it could be, is the weather and or air quality keeping you in?
So
there you
true.
go.
You
right?
never know. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of documents change what they say. You know, it used to say, unless weather is extreme, the children need to go outside. And now I've seen a lot of early childhood related documents saying things like, unless the weather or air quality is extreme,
Yeah.
the children need to go outside.
Because we experienced, at least in this area, those Canadian wildfires that really did affect us, because I remember having to stay inside for a good week, I think. And so I think it's smart to change those documents, because I feel like in today's world, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, you don't know. And the weather, the ever-changing weather and all that. And, you know, when this episode is releasing, it could definitely be a time of year when weather is extreme and you're thinking, you know, we can't take the children out even for a couple minutes. If you can take them out for even a couple of minutes, that's beneficial.
Do it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do it. But if you can't, then what? Then what becomes the question?
Yeah.
Because the children still need a lot of gross motor movement in their day. And that sort of free play time is important. You know, there are certain times of day that are usually teacher-led. Those are large group, small group activities, read alouds, that sort of thing. And then there are usually two parts of the day when it's child directed and we follow their lead. One of those is free play time in our classrooms, and the other one is that free play time outside. And if we totally take that away from them because we can't go outside, then they lose out on a child directed time of day, is one problem, because children need to feel that they have some control over what's going on. So that's one issue. And then the other issue is they may not get the same kind of gross motor activity. I used to direct a program that had a large room that we used as a gym, which was great. We could go in there and let them self-select what they were going to use among a lot of different things. Like, for example, they were self-selecting from the balance beam, the balls, the parachute, all sorts of things with, now that I think about it, all sorts of things with balls. They were playing all kinds of games. We had obstacle course equipment in there. So we had the cones and we had the obstacles and all. You know, we had so many things that they could choose from in there, which was great. But, you know, I feel like sometimes when we take them to that sort of gym, because we're indoors, the adults take over and it becomes an adult directed time of day where they're saying, okay, we're all going to go to the gym and we're all going to parachute, or we're all going to kick the ball to each other, or we're all going to
scooters.
Right. We're all going to do the balance beam. And that takes away that child directed time of day. A third challenge, if we can call it that, would be if you don't even have a gym. And I've worked in a program like that too. When I was a classroom teacher, I recall a program I worked in where we did not have a gym space. And that was even more challenging because you have such a limited space for the children to move in.
Yes. Or sometimes even if you have a gym, it depends. Like if you're in an elementary school, the gym might not be available during the time that your recess is, or during the time, you know, so like there might be other phys ed classes going on in there. In the school I'm in now, it's an all-purpose room that also doubles as a cafeteria. So during my recess time, the kindergartners are eating lunch in there, so I can't go in there at that time. So like, even if you have a gym, which is awesome, you might not be able to get in there at the time that you need or want to get in there. So
on this day that we're recording, you know, we pre-record, and on the day that we're recording, the weather was not great today. So what did you do with the children, Alison?
It was not good today. It is downpouring right now as we speak. And my children came back into my classroom And I said, you guys can play wherever you want, and we'll clean up in the end. And they all chose they wanted to dance, and I let them dance, and I said, if at any point you want, I'll put videos on for you and you can dance or do whatever. And sometimes I just put music on so they can free dance, so it wasn't all like that guided dance that you would find on like YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then, and I was like, if you don't want to do that, you can choose something else. And none of them chose something else. But then I felt bad. I felt like, are they not choosing something else because they feel they can't? But then like doing a half hour of just dancing is like not necessarily the greatest either. I don't know if that's enough gross motor,
I feel like it's
but
not.
I mean, I did the best as I could, but
I feel
I
like
also
it's
don't
not
think like
enough.
choosing blocks is not gross motor either. So like I said, they could choose wherever they want and make it a free choice kind of period, but you might be choosing something that is not a gross motor activity.
Yeah.
It was a struggle today, and it was my first time. I'm in a new district, so it was my first time having indoor recess at this school. So I really didn't know what to expect or what to do, and I was like, oh, okay, and I sometimes you're just trying your best. And that's what I did today. But I could see like during winter where we're inside every single day, it's going to get a little, I don't know, maybe boring for them. They're not going to want to dance every day. I'm not going to be able to provide them with like scooters or bikes indoors because my classroom is set up, so it is a struggle.
So where I worked, where we did not have a gym, we used to take turns taking over the hallways. Like,
okay,
when I say we, I mean the staff, the teachers and I, we used to take turns bringing our classes, or at least some of our class, into the hallway. I remember there were some children who maybe they were in the classroom enjoying sound and music and creating their own so that it's a child directed thing. And they're just dancing around. And then I remember a teacher assistant taking several children into the hallway where they could do other things, but it was limited. They could jump. They would, I remember one time I had an assistant who used to love to go through the hallways with the children during this time that was supposed to be our outdoor time. And she used to have them moving like different animals and hopping and jumping and skipping and all sorts of things through the hallway. Okay. And they used to race too. I remember there was one hallway that was a longer hallway, and she used to bring them out there for races. And then she would bring some of the children back in and take the ones who were, I don't know, dancing or whatever they were doing. Oh, okay. And they would go ahead and have races in the hallway. But you have to be in an environment that allows you to use the hallway that way. And hopefully, school peeps, you are. Hopefully you're in an environment where if you said, can we use the hallway for some moving around and racing and stuff while we can't go out, that they would let you do that. If you have that sort of hallway too. I've worked in some programs where they don't, where it's all twisty turny and nothing is long enough.
Yeah, that's true. And like, I also feel like you do have to take turns in that case because everybody's inside for indoor recess. So like communicating with the teachers that are in your wing, where you can take turns. Otherwise, if you're all out there, that's going to be unsafe, but like taking turns or maybe having some sort of schedule with it or having a different part of the school that you can go to would be nice. Yeah.
It would be nice, right? So, one time I worked in one of the programs I worked in. I think it was the one with the gym, but we couldn't use the gym for some reason. Yeah. There was a classroom not being used, and we quick went in and shoved furniture out of the way and brought them in there to do things. The truth is they still need to move. Their muscles are growing and the muscle fibers need to exercise. And that's why they're so movement oriented in part because because their muscles are growing and they need to move and they need to strengthen, and the body knows that, so it gives them the urge to move, and part of gross motor and fine motor movement, it's not just the movement, and it's also the coordination of the muscles. And if we're not moving them around enough, how are they learning to coordinate all their movements? That's another question. Maybe that was my problem. True. Did they not let me out when I was young? That I'm so like, I lack coordination. Nobody let me play in a gym-like way when I was young, and so I didn't develop that. I don't know.
But you know what? Like when I was a child, I didn't particularly enjoy gym class or phys ed class. So I feel like I always kind of just stayed to the side because it just wasn't my thing.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I feel like that might be the struggle I have now, which is why I don't like to exercise because I think like
Me
no,
too.
and nobody
Oh,
forced me to do it either. They're like, Allison, all right, fine. You want to stay over there? Go ahead. Like, but everybody else is going to be playing, and
oh my
I
gosh, me
still don't
too.
enjoy exercising. Yeah. I'm just
Me
not that type
too.
of person. You're not going to see me signing up for like 5Ks anytime soon. Oh, like,
No, maybe that's why we're friends. But I also feel like there are people out there, our preschool peeps out there saying, I feel so seen right now. I'm also not that
yes,
physical sort of person.
I am
And
not that person.
it could definitely be what was done or not done with us in the early childhood years, because that lays a
Yeah.
foundation that stays with you through adulthood. So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
entirely possible, like in my generation, it's entirely possible that they were like, she doesn't have to be good at sports and running and moving. She's a girl. Hand her a doll.
Yes, back then it very much was like that. If you were a girl, they didn't expect you to be very athletic. And now it's
Right.
not like that, but like back then they did think that. And so they were like, oh, she'll just be a nurse or a teacher one day. And then look at
Ugh,
us. We grew up to be teachers. So, but like that's what they thought back then. Now they don't think that, and there's many girls and women who are incredibly athletic, some of which are our age, and I don't know where
I
they got it
know.
from because I
Not
certainly
not
did
me.
not
They didn't get it
get
from me.
that.
They
Not for
definitely didn't
me,
get it.
but then some of them went to the same schools as I did, and I'm like,
Yeah, that wasn't me.
I missed that day in phys ed. I don't
I
know.
probably wasn't there trying to get out of phys ed. But I
Yeah,
also
I was trying to
think
get
I
out. I always had an excuse.
yeah, me too. But I also think
Yeah.
today we know about the importance of physical
Yeah.
activity. We know about the prevalence of obesity in young children, which is it's
Yes.
unbelievable, the statistics about obesity and
Yes.
young children. We know how challenging it can be for families to buy healthy foods even to help in
Mm-hmm.
that way at
That's so
home.
true.
And in today
Yes.
with the inflation all super difficult. So the least we can
Yes.
do for these children's health, physical and mental, is figure out how to move them around when we can't go outside. Our
Yeah.
furniture, except for the tables, a lot of the furniture in classroom is on wheels, but we still don't like to move it. Sometimes you have to shove a
Yes,
shelf out of
it's
the
true.
way.
Sometimes
Sometimes
you
you
do,
just got
right?
to do it, right? And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the whole room. When you look around, maybe there's like one shelving unit on wheels or something that you can shove aside so that the children can move
Yeah.
back and forth in the
Just have,
space or
yeah.
something.
Yeah. I'm thinking like in my own classroom, if I could move the pieces of furniture that are in the middle to the sides, then you could have a good space there. Like a circle could be made where you could play maybe certain games like Duck Duck Goose or, these
Yeah,
Follow the Bell
it's so
kind of
funny. I
games, or
was
maybe you
I
could
was
fit a
just thinking that.
parachute in there. Yeah. You
Yeah,
could
I
fit
was
a
just thinking
parachute in
Duck
there
Duck
maybe
Goose.
if you shove it. Yeah. Yeah.
The
So that
problem
like
though
if you could just do
with
that,
that,
then
I'm going to
yeah,
maintain that the problem with that, like Duck Duck Goose and the parachute that I bring in and all that, is that there's
it's
no child choice. That I'm
it's
saying we're going to
teacher
sit, we're going to
directed.
play Duck Duck
Even
Goose.
right, because I think even like your example of like going into the hallway, we're right, that's still very teacher directed.
It
It's like, okay, we're
was.
gonna all move like these animals, or we're gonna all do relay races or whatever it may be. That's still very teacher directed. So if we could get it, I wish it could go by wing, at least or something like where maybe you can like open up that hallway and the children can kind of go in and out of like if you have a small like in and out of like this room's
Yeah.
going to do Duck Duck Goose and this classroom's going to play dance music and this classroom's
And
going
they
to do
get to
something else and the hallway is
choose.
for races and they get to choose. Yes, but
I
then
like it.
it's going to be a little free for all if you're thinking you're like, oh, I'm not going to know where my 13 children are, but it's okay because it's going to be safe because they're only going to be able to choose the things that are in this wing, in these 3 rooms, and this hallway. And like maybe you block off the end of it so they can't go into another wing. And then the other wing's going to be doing the same thing. Like it can't be like they're walking all around the whole school, but maybe if you have 3 classrooms that are clustered together, maybe then like this is the dance room, this is the Duck Duck Goose room, this is the relay race room, this is the something else room, and then figure out and they can kind of just roam around. And then they're also moving because they're roaming between different classrooms, like
Wait, so
instead
what
of
you're
being
saying,
stuck in your room all the time.
what you're saying is the adults have to cooperate with each other. That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
The
That's
adults,
what I'm saying.
I'm thinking about the places where I've worked and where I've gone in to work with teaching teams. And their rooms are usually somewhat grouped, where people could work cooperatively.
Yeah.
And even if it's like a classroom, an activity in a classroom, a hallway, and one other classroom. And the children get to choose, I want to do the thing in this room, the hallway, or the other room. They at least have a choice of 3 things then.
And they don't have to stick with that choice for the entire half hour. Like if they're say they start and they want to go to Duck Duck Goose and they're playing Duck Duck Goose for like 10 minutes and like, you know what, I'm bored, I want to go dance. Then they could just tell the teacher in the room, hi, I want to go to the dance room, and then they can go over to the dance room, and just let them play there for 10 minutes. There's as long as they're not going to get lost in the school, which they shouldn't, because if your rooms are clustered together that way and your teachers are cooperating, and I could shout across the hall like, hey, here comes Johnny, he's coming to dance, and make sure he gets there or watch him go there, then they can choose wherever they want to go. And then maybe the next day it's the rooms have different things in them, it's not always the same 3 choices,
That'd be
and
fun.
You can maybe plan it and be like, in my room today, we're going to do Duck Duck Goose. Tomorrow, we're going to do relay races and whatever. And then have it almost maybe on your schedule in case, especially during the winter time here where it's cold, you're going to have indoor recess like every day. So that might be a cool way to do it. And then the children have more autonomy over what they want to do.
The secret being the adults have to resist the urge to say, you 3 go to Duck Duck Goose room, you 3 play in the hallway. Right. Because now we're teacher directed again, and the children have less choice. And you know what happens when we reduce the amount of choice children have in a day? Behaviors emerge. And that is why by the end of a long period of time of being in, let's say where we are in the winter, people are like, if we don't get the children out of here, we're all going to lose our minds because the behaviors are escalating. The behaviors are Why are the behaviors escalating? Because children have less movement and fewer choices in their day. That's why.
Yes.
So if we can maintain movement and choice, the behaviors will be better, I think, is the bottom line here. Yeah.
And I think the kids are going to think it's really cool to be like, hey, we're going to a different room. Because I think part of the problem, maybe a large part of the problem with indoor recess, at least for me, is being within the same 4 walls for the entire day. You're right. So this gives them an opportunity to be like, okay, I'm still in a classroom, but at least I'm seeing different things across the hall, or I'm seeing different things in the hallway.
Right.
They're still within 4 walls, but it's a different setting. So that might be just enough change, that they need, because I get kind of like cabin fevery, when I'm in the same room all day long, and if you're in the same room all day long for the entire winter, which could be a good 3 months in this state, then you are gonna lose your mind, so, and we as adults are losing our minds, and these little guys are gonna lose it even quicker, I think,
even
so at least give them something different to look at.
Even more than one day of rain, air quality, whatever it is, more than one day is too much. One day you can get away with them having fewer choices, but more than one day, you're right. It's like the cabin fever sets in. It's no good.
Yeah.
So the key to everyone feeling fresh and revitalized and not having those behaviors emerge mid-season would be if the staff members are allowed to cooperate with each other and allow some choice of physical movement activities between the spaces where they are, like 2 classrooms and a hallway, or that was just one example.
Yeah.
But something like that, I think would be great. Yeah. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah. I'm going to email my principal tomorrow and ask if I can do it.
There you go. There you have it.
So
now that we've hashed that out.
Yeah, well, first maybe I should ask and cooperate with the teachers around me, but like, hi, I'm going to email about this. Are you cool with it?
Yeah.
Then email, because I don't want to spring that on somebody. So it is about communication and cooperation too.
It is. It is,
yeah.
and respectfulness of the people who are in charge who may have
Yes.
questions about this and be
Right,
unsure if it's
right,
safe,
right.
but that said, I appreciate when the podcasts, I don't know about anybody else listening to us, but you and I may have solved your problem. So there you go.
You did. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
See, and that's
Live
sometimes
right here.
live right here. And this might be a good episode for another time. Is I really do think like teacher meetings that are more like casual teacher meetings where you just get together with your team and you could just brainstorm like, hey, I'm having this issue and I don't know what to do about it.
Right.
You never know what's going to come out of those little brainstorming sessions. So like that might be another topic for another day, because it really does help to do that, to think out loud kind of thing.
That's right.
You can solve some that's what we just did here. We were thinking out loud. We don't always have the solutions here at the podcast, so we try.
Here at How Preschool Teachers Do It, we're sometimes deciding that on the spot.
Yes, that's true. And I will say, like, I'm not afraid to admit, like, I'm in the classroom just like a lot of you guys are. So like sometimes I don't know, like, like I don't know, like, or sometimes like even with all of my experience and all of my expertise, I've tried it all and it's just not working, so I'm just like everyone else. So like we're still in this field too, and we don't have it all figured out, and it takes each other to do that sometimes.
Well, I'm glad that the preschool peeps are listening. I'm glad you've come to learn some more. And now I want you all to go back and ponder how you can still offer these children physical activity and choices when the weather keeps you in.
Yeah.
Okay, peeps, we will catch you next week on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.